Welcome, my friend, to YouTooSpain Live. This week I'll be welcoming one of our super fans onto the show to talk about his travels in Spain and beyond and about his inspirations. Yes, it's our very lovely friend Yogi. Join us on the live chat or in the comments below because you are a part of this too. That's what this channel is all about, and you are welcome to YouTooSpain. So let's run that theme music and let's dance. Yeah, that's groovy. And speaking of groovy, let's meet our guest for today. It's Yogi Parashara, and well, I've got to find the button to click, and here he is. Good morning, mate. How are you doing?
Good morning.
Good
How
morning.
are you? It's good to see you.
Yes, good to see you too. I'm very well, thank you. I see you sitting in front of aeroplanes today. You're a big
Yes,
fan, aren't you?
I am. Yeah, aviation is, especially military aviation, is one of my passions. So I do enjoy it. So that is the Royal Air Force Typhoon. So
Uh-huh.
it's part of 41 Squadron, which you could probably sorry that one on the tail. You
Uh-huh.
can see their crest, which is the crest for 41F Squadron. So
Yes.
yeah,
And you
it's
and you have a friend there as well, don't you?
I do have a friend. He was the squadron leader many years ago and flew in the Gulf. So it's an honour to know him. And yeah, we met online, so
Hmm.
it's great. And he has a virtual squadron which we are part of, and we get to fly virtually. So it's great fun. If anybody
Brilliant.
likes
Yeah.
it, that sort of stuff, it's digital combat simulator. So
Brilliant. From the safety of your own armchair. Brilliant.
absolutely, absolutely. But it's a lot more interesting than you think. It's not just a
Hmm.
game, in my
Yeah.
opinion. Anyway, others would
Yeah.
differ.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, it's so great to have you on the show. You've been following YouTube Spain for I don't know how long, but it's a while now, and I think you must be
Yeah,
I think you're a record holder for the most comments and supports on here and on the Facebook group, the Facebook page, and on Still Alive, my other channel. And there's
yeah.
always
Well, it's so
yeah.
informative, and I love it. It's obviously Spain is an area I've always dreamed of one day coming to, and I do come regularly anyway.
Hmm.
And funny enough, I think I came across your channel during the COVID period, like probably a
Oh,
lot of other
really? It's
people.
that long ago, right at the
Yeah,
beginning. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And yeah, the topics that you would come out with were, very interesting, and
Hmm.
stuff that kind of caught my imagination, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
The experiences of others that come on the channel as well, and the guidance that the channel provides for those who want to kind of move or live in Spain, has been massively, I think important for lots of people who are trying to move to Spain, especially now we've gone down the Brexit road. So that guidance that you provide through
Hmm.
yourself, and also to shout out to Chris as well, is a good one. So
I'm sure
hence why
he's yeah.
I regularly tune in.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes, usually you're on your running thing.
I
You're down
am,
at the
yes.
gym, aren't you,
So I've
watching?
given the gym a break today,
Uh-huh.
especially for this episode.
Well, thank you for doing that, and thank you for being there for me when I needed it most, and for being a
No,
super fan.
pleasure,
So,
pleasure, mate.
and
And
I actually, yeah,
I know you'll recover soon, so I'm looking forward to seeing you again.
yeah. We were just talking about that. We'll talk about your the business you're in a minute, and about IT and stuff. But we're talking about the robot operating systems and things like that,
Yeah,
that's the bit I'm looking forward to actually of this whole process. I don't know whether I'll be awake or not when they're doing it, or we're slightly awake, but I'd love to see the screen when they're all of the bits are inside and they're
yeah,
cutting Freddy out. So
yeah.
that's
Well,
going to be
that'll be
exciting.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so I actually met you in person in Malaga a few months
It
back,
was.
and
Yes, that
that
was
was
back
really good.
in March, wasn't it?
Was it
March
March? That was
this
right
year.
at the start of the process for me, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That was great. And we went to that nice little Indian restaurant in Malaga,
It was,
which
yeah,
was
right down by the
was
marina. Lovely.
yeah. So that was really nice. That was It was a beautiful day as well. Actually, it
It
was
was,
interesting
yeah.
because I remember because obviously we were with Sean from
Sean
Expat
from,
Amazon,
uh-huh.
and we were traveling when we travelled down the day before. It it was the weather wasn't great. It was
Yeah.
raining and stuff like that. And then when we got over the mountain into Malaga, as you drive in,
Mm.
see the aircraft coming in to land at Malaga Airport, and we were popping in to see Chris first, but the skies just cleared up, and it was nice. It was hot, it was warm, really nice.
Yeah, it's lovely, and it's and you were talking to me about lots of fascinating things over that lovely curry, and which is one of the reasons I wanted you on the live show so that you could share all of this with everyone. And one of the things you were talking about was your dad, because he sounds like he was a big
Yes,
inspiration to you.
it
He was
was.
a he was an actor back in the 1960s. Was this Bollywood or was this more TV?
No, so Dad was a radio presenter back in worked for the BBC World Service way back. We're talking early '60s, late '50s,
Hmm.
and he even before that he was part of the Indian Shakespeare Company. In fact, he did actually in that company. He met some of the, I'd say the I'll kind of put this in the 80s and 90s time frame.
Hmm.
Um, those big actors in Bollywood at that time, their parents were in
Hmm.
that same Shakespeare company. So the
Excellent.
biggest one at all, if anybody knows anything about Bollywood, there's one of the biggest names was a guy called Amitabh Bachchan, and he was massive in those days.
Hmm.
And my dad knew his dad,
Uh-huh.
and there's a very famous photo. My dad's with him in that photo, along with the wider Shakespeare company, and that was his. And he did come to the UK back in the early '60s. I was born in '67 myself, but prior to my birth, he actually did work for the BBC here, and he had a few roles in very early series. I can't remember which ones, but out in the early '60s.
Hmm.
So he did do a bit of acting, and then he said he gave it all up because I came along. And I said, "What'd you do that
Uh-huh.
for?"
Yeah. Have you ever thought of going into acting yourself?
Me? Oh, no. Although
Yeah.
that said, it's strange because one of the inspirations I took from my dad was his ability to present,
Hmm.
which in my line of work actually is quite important because we do that literally every day. We have to,
Hmm.
so I'm in sales and in IT sales specifically, and as a manager, because I look after a particular sector within my company
Hmm.
and teams, um, I have to present to, senior people in our customer base, and through that program, see, you have to kind of act, don't you? Right? You have to put on a persona
Yeah.
because you have to sell, right? So you're putting on a face, and you have to react in a particular way and be enthusiastic, even though you
Hmm.
might be getting up and you're not feeling. "Ugh." You have to
Yeah.
you put on that mask, don't you? And you have to get out there and present. And sometimes that can be it could be from a small group to 200-300 people, right? So
Hmm.
so I've had to do that in the past. So yeah,
Great
it's
stuff.
I learned that kind of skill set through my dad's ability. I'd like to think I got those genes from him.
Brilliant. He's done a good job of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Let's say hello to everybody on the live chat. Who have we got? We've already said good morning to Robbo. He's up there in
Robbo.
Punta Prima. Is that Alicante, Robbo? I think you're up in that region, aren't you? And Yogi says good morning. You already said hello.
Oh,
He's not complaining about the cloudy. Well, it wouldn't be British if I didn't mention the weather. Absolutely, I always start the show with that. Mad David saying hola, and Barry from Unitech, morning from sunny Warrington. And I think you asked a really good series of questions. I think it was you on the Facebook group, which we're going to answer next week when Chris is on the show. David Tunman, morning chaps. Been here a couple of months, living the dream. It's just all the red tape you have to go through, enough to put anybody advice. My advice, see Chris and stick to it. Happy days.
absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. And don't forget to enjoy yourself. This is what Chris says. While you're doing this, especially this first 3 months when you're getting all of the, signing up to all the health service and getting all of your paperwork sorted out, getting your TIE card and all of that things. Don't forget to enjoy yourself. Sit down in the cafes and gaze out at the shimmering sea, and don't forget why you're there, because it's easy to get sort of tied down and sort of ruin the living the dream experience. But yeah. And now, Mad David says, putting a face to the name. Good morning, Yogi. There you go.
You also got
Between the Lakes. Who's that?
That's Mike and Yvonne.
Hello, Mike and Yvonne.
Yeah, that's lovely to see them. I actually saw them last time I came as well. When I met you a few days later, I met with Mike and Yvonne as well, up in they're in Torrevieja.
So's Robbo. That's where Punta Prima is.
Yeah. So just south of Alicante.
Excellent. And Aideen Ward. Yeah. Good morning. Good to have you back on there. So, and let's get back to what the other people that your dad knew was Clive Sinclair's father.
Yes, yeah. So that's a little story. So when my dad left the acting career, he went into working for a living. One of his first jobs was with Raquel, who made, I don't know if anybody remembers Raquel, but they used to make the electronic tills in shops way back in the day, before obviously what we have today. So we're talking about the 70s. So he did that, and then he started his own import-export business. And at the time, this again, we're talking about 1979. Around this time, he struck up a relationship with Clive Sinclair's father, and they were creating the ZX. At the time, it was the ZX80, which then became upgraded to the ZX81. The Spectrum then came after that, and they had the 16K, and then they had the 48K. So there were a series of Sinclair solutions, and I don't know if you remember, but there was a Sinclair.
You're going to talk about the C5.
Bike, the C5. That's it. Yeah. They came out with, which kind
of halfway between a bike and a car.
Correct. Yeah,
a pedal car. It was funny.
Actually, if you think about it today, it's way ahead of its time, really, because it was all electric driven at the time. My dad knew his dad, and he started to export the ZX80 for India. So he had the links there. So that's how he knew him.
And there's no way of overstating how important because that was the first PC, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the ZX80 was the first actual home PC, in my humble opinion. Affordable, because I think it came out about £100. The ZX80 didn't do that well, but the ZX81 was a big hit. Because it came out with a better keyboard, and I mean, I remember having the ZX80 because we had to trial it, and the basic language, which I remember having a play with way back when I was an early teenager in those days, and creating various programs from that. And then the ZX81 came out, that's slightly better keyboard and a bit more powerful, etc. It was all of that. It was a great time for the home PC. I mean, this is way before the internet, and I remember when we used to load up the programs, we used to use tapes, Yeah. So
I remember the
yeah,
noise.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah. And then I remember my dad actually got me the next level, which was the Commodore 64.
Oh yeah, yeah. I used to
I had one of those with a
work on one
proper
of those.
keyboard.
Hmm.
So that was my
Yeah, because
that
the
was my
Sinclair, the Spectrum keyboard was like you had to push down. It was quite
exactly,
flat
yeah. And they used
surface.
to wear
Yeah.
out. I don't know if you remember, but the buttons used to wear out because they were rubber.
Mm.
And so that's why my dad chose to get the Commodore, because at least it had a
Yeah.
proper keyboard and you could type on it properly.
Was
So that was good.
that Amstrad, the Commodore, or was that the
Oh no, it
Amstrad was
wasn't.
the other one?
No, it was another one. Yeah, they also came out before the Commodore 64 came out. They came out with something called a VIC 20, which had a few
Oh yeah.
school
Oh, I don't
friends had
remember that
that.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a VIC 20. Then the Commodore 64. The Amstrad came out with the first one of the more affordable PCs. Yeah, back in those days, and that was another step up. And I remember getting my first one. I bought it from my uncle who had a computer shop up in Ealing, and it came with two 5.25-inch floppy drives. Wow!
So much. How much
Yeah,
memory was on there? Not
yeah.
really.
Not much.
Like
Not
just a
much compared to
megabyte or
that.
something.
Yeah, I think it was 128K. No, more
Wow.
than that. It was probably about 256. But
Mm.
because that was like 1980, we're talking about 1988 at that time. I remember buying that.
Mm.
That was like 1,500 quid, which was a lot of money in those days, right?
Yeah.
And then I added to it, and I put a 2 megabit hard disk in it. 2 megabit.
Wow.
It was, which again in the late 1980s was huge, at that point in time. So yeah, that was
Fantastic.
my those first steps into the technology world. And during that time, I joined BT. So it was my first step into technology and specifically telecommunications. So I was an engineer way back in those days, and I was on a semi-apprenticeship. So what
Wow.
they used to call a TTI, a trainee technician improver.
Wow.
But yeah, so before then, several years later, changing to sales, and my sales career, which I do to this day.
And that's so that you've continued in IT manufacturing, isn't it?
Yes,
Is that the correct title?
yes. So there's a number of different sort of like IT personas. You've got the what we call the resellers, which are the people who do a number of different type of solutions, and then they bring it all into one to provide a overall service, which is then underpinned by various technologies, ours being one of them. And then you've got the manufacturers who actually, or the vendors as they call us, who actually manufacture and create all that technology. And I work for those. I've worked for 3 of them in the past. One is, my very first one was Marconi, way back in the day, back in 2000, before they went under. They're now part of Ericsson. Brought out the remnants of what was Marconi. After that, my next venture into the manufacturing world was Huawei, big Chinese company, and I got to travel out to China, which is very interesting.
Yeah, tell us all about that, because you've been to
Yeah,
China a lot with Huawei. So you tell me
yes.
it's a bit like Disneyland going to Huawei now.
Well, yes. Well, so yeah. So that's a story in itself. But China's huge. Yeah, it's a massive place. One of the places I went into where we had offices was Shanghai, and they used to have their what we call the Connect event. So this is a very public event. They show off all the technology to businesses and to the public, and it tends to be like a 3 or 4 day event. So from here, China's very big in, I'll call it, showing off their prowess and their technologies and things like that. So they used to encourage us to, as sales guys, to go out to our customers and say, right, okay, let's bring some of the customers along. So we would bring a range of our customers. And I remember my first year then, which was 2016, I took about a dozen customers, different ones, and we went to China. We were there for like a week to 10 days. Well, it was supposed to be for a week, and it turned into 10 days, and I'll come back to that. But we went to Shanghai, showed them, and Shanghai's a huge city, right?
Yeah.
It's 24 million people. Yeah, it's huge, and they've got tower blocks all over the place, and we went on this tour, and part of the tour was going up the second tallest building in the world, which is the Shanghai Tower. Yeah, it's huge, and it's very interesting the way it's been created and architected, because it twists like that, so you can actually see the contours of the building twisting as it goes to the top. And there's a reason for it, and the reason for it is to offset the wind, because obviously Shanghai is a coastal city. It gets a huge amount of winds and storms, so the contours of the building are designed to deflect the wind that's coming in, so it doesn't put so much pressure on the building and reduces the swaying that does happen, right? While you're up there. So we went up to the top of this floor. It's one of the fastest lifts in the world, because as you go up, you can actually feel yourself go down as it accelerates straight up. And there's over like I think it's 130 floors, something like that, as it goes to the top, and it's just crazy. And then and just to put that into context, if you look at our in the UK, in London, you've got our tallest building there is I've forgotten the name of it now, but it's got 74 floors. So this has got nearly double that. So you can imagine the size, right? It's
massive.
It's huge, right? So and you go to the top and you see all of Shanghai. It's just on a clear day. It's just crazy.
That just tells you, doesn't it? If you need a clear day to see the whole of it, even
absolutely.
From that high.
But the power. I think I suppose the interesting fact is, if you look at the growth of China over the last 20 years, certainly when I was there, and you looked at the Shanghai landscape 20 years earlier, it was all flat, and now it's got all these high rises. So in that short space of time, it's just shot up. The other one is Shenzhen. So this is where Huawei's Disneyland is again, and I'll describe that in a minute. But Huawei's headquarters and research and development manufacturing plants, their hub is in Shenzhen, which is just adjacent to Hong Kong. If you look at where Shenzhen was 20 years ago, it was a fishing village of like 30,000 people. Now it's a huge metropolitan city of 12 to 13 million people. So it's been created from the ground up. It's just immense. It's got some of the most modern airports in the world. Just going back to Shanghai, I went to China several times over the 5 years I was there, and again the power of their construction was immense. So when I first went there, they were building another terminal. When I came the following year, that terminal had been completed and they were building another runway. When I came the third time, they'd built they'd already completed that second runway, and they were now building another terminal. And how long has it been?
Amazing.
We compare that to the UK and Heathrow Airport, where they're still trying to get the third runway built. So it's just like in that same time frame. So it just gives you the growth is just staggering.
And it gives you an idea, I suppose, of the way that you can get through. Presumably, if these buildings are ordered by big businesses or the government, then there's going to be nothing in the way.
Absolutely, yeah.
They've got the labour, they've got the facilities, and no planning problems and bureaucrocy is going to get in the way. They just do it.
When the Chinese want to do something, they just do it. I'll give you a good example. So there was a requirement to build a dam many years ago, and where this dam was going to be situated. And this was for actually, in many respects, one protecting the environment, because there used to be a lot of flooding, but also to create a power station utilising the dam's facilities to hydroelectric power. Right. But the problem was there was this town, which was, I understand, was around the size of Southampton, if you know Southampton.
Yeah.
So what they did was they said, right, okay, we're going to lift this town and repurpose it somewhere else a few miles away. So they literally kind of brick by brick lifted this town, pushed it over there, resettled everyone over there, and built this dam all in the space of like 2 or 3 years. I mean, it was just staggering. You know, who needs planning permission? Just get it done. Go.
Yeah, do
it. Just do it. You know, because we need to do it, right? So
yeah, and all the problems that people would have had with, no, we don't want to move from our town. Well, you're not moving from your town. We're just moving the town. You've still got your neighbours. Everybody else is going to be there. It's just down the road, and you've also got a massive dam, and you've got free power for, oh, not free, but you know, you've got plenty of it.
Absolutely, exactly. So it's just things like that when you see that in motion. I mean, going back to Huawei, one of the things they did, they built a new HQ, and this new HQ was to house 20 to 30,000 people, but they did it in a very flamboyant manner. And the way they did it, they repurposed this site on the edge of Shenzhen, and I remember going there, and basically the way they've constructed it is on the to try and mimic certain cities and towns and countries in Europe. So they had Vienna from Austria. They had Venice from Italy. They had Paris, obviously France.
Of course, you have to have a Paris.
They were constructing. I'll call it Oxbridge, kind of Oxford, Cambridge type town. As well.
Dreaming Spires. Yes.
That was one they were constructing at the time, and a few others from various countries in Europe, and these were like campuses in this headquarters, all spread over a huge geographical area, which was connected by its own independent rail system. So you would arrive at the main entrance. You'd certainly where we parked our coach, got all the customers and myself, and then we would jump on this. There was a main terminal for the trains with regular trains coming through, and then they would take us to around all the various cities, which were mimicking these various places, and that's where we had some of our labs and R&D facilities, and they get to meet and have presentations done to them in various buildings. So this whole day was spent going around, and again, that some of their what they used to call customer centers of excellence, which were like demonstration suites. I call it a suite, but it was huge. You know, it was the size of a football field, literally. And you'd have all these base stations all the way around it, and each station would have demonstrate different technologies that they were coming out with. I mean, just to give you a bit of background on Huawei, I mean, they were an IT company, manufacturer. They did telecommunications, they did networking, they did SAN arrays, they did high performance computing. They had all these various capabilities to make, very famous for making mobile phones, and various other sort of leading edge technologies, and they were very good at it, and they made it very cheap, and so on and so forth. So that's why they were so popular way back in the day, before obviously the Western world sort of like woke up and thought, wow, actually, we don't want this in our infrastructure. So just in case the Chinese start eavesdropping. Not that I saw any evidence of that, but
well, you wouldn't, would you?
Down the future. I wouldn't. It's very low down the food chain, right? So, but it was very interesting company. People were wonderful, very lovely people.
Are they as extravagant? Are they as extravagant in person as they are with their industry?
They're very proud people. And you'd kind of expect that to a certain degree. They're very proud of the country that they come from. Very cultural in the way they operate. Certainly, when I was in that company, we was exposed to a lot of the Chinese culture and foods and stuff like that, and celebrations, and especially around their New Year, which was kind of floated between January and February, depending on the astronomical charts and stuff like that. Very similar to Indians in many respects from that perspective. And that was something of real of interest because you get exposed to that. So, but yeah, they were very proud people. Are they? They were not all kind of in your face, like they would demonstrate their technologies and their cities and their towns, but you get various personalities, right? Like in every population, they're all human, right? So it's there's a lot of similarities, a lot of I found, I became very good friends with one of them. In fact, I'm still in touch with him. He lives just outside Shanghai. His English name is kind of Harry. It's funny. That was the other thing. They used to have two names because you could never pronounce their real names, right? So they used to adopt new names of their own of the UK, and used to call themselves like John and Harry and Morgan and things of that nature, right? So that was kind of
that's the same happened in the UK, isn't it, with Indian people as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
picking easier names.
Yeah, exactly. Just to help people adapt to them. Yeah. So it was their way of trying to offer their kind of olive branch in terms of culture to interact and things of that nature. But I didn't find them as, from a personality perspective, as flamboyant as maybe what we used to saw. I mean, they love to show their cities. They love to show their infrastructure and their technology and stuff like that. And bearing in mind where they came from, if you go back 20, 30 years, and it was almost like a third world country. Yeah, they were very much coming from the farming community, and they've rapidly, grown into one of the biggest economic powerhouses in the world. Right. So it's from their perspective, that's something to be proud of. From that perspective. But
absolutely.
Traveling around China was fascinating. It was just being exposed to different type of. It's also to say, obviously, Shanghai, they've got an old part of Shanghai as well as a modern part of Shanghai where the financial city was, and also to say that their hotels, wow, some of their hotels were immense. Is the word. There was so one of them, which I was fortunate to stay in back in, I think it was 2018, is right next to I forget, I think it was a Marriott, but it was right next to their tallest building in China, or the second tallest building in the world at the time, and that was quite tall in itself. It would come up halfway up to the Shard was the one in the UK, by the way. In London.
Shard, yeah.
The Shard, that's the one. That was the name. And it was as tall as the Shard, the one I was staying in, and it had the tallest bar in the world. So actually, you went to the top. There was another set of stairs, and then a lift, and then you'd get to the top, and then there was this bar, and you would see all the way around. Shanghai, and you could see you were about halfway up the level of the second tallest building in the world, so you could see that right next to you. And then, but you had this huge view of Shanghai. I remember having a few drinks up there, which were quite expensive, by the way. Glad the company was paying for it. At the time. And then the Chinese then took us out on a boat ride, and obviously the river that goes through Shanghai. And every night they would have, especially actually around this time, September, they would have have this light show in the city. So all the boats on the river, first and foremost, would be lit up.
They're all coordinated.
Yeah, I'll send you some photos actually, and then they'd have all the buildings would be lit up, and some of the buildings would have this light show going on them as well. And they used to do it at specific times, obviously, at the night. We would take the customers out on the boat, have dinner, and then we'd take them on a boat ride and up and down the river and showing them this light show. It was just amazing, absolutely amazing. It was a great experience. And again, I guess it's them, as in the Chinese, showing off their city and the flamboyance around it. It's quite fantastic. Quite fantastic.
Fabulous.
It was a good time. It was a good time.
Brilliant. Let's just check up on the live chat, because there's been just a couple of comments. Barry was saying Recal used to own Vodafone, and he did cabling work as a young engineer. So there
you go.
Yeah, excellent.
Fantastic. Unitech. Brilliant. Yeah. So yeah.
Between the legs saying, Yogi, when are you going to buy your house in Spain?
In the fullness of time. Yeah, that's still one of my aspirations, is to get a little spot in Spain at some point in the future.
You'd be very welcome.
Yeah, I've just got to get my son through university first, and then I'll have a bit of spare cash to do that. Yeah.
You've done so much research, you should know exactly how to do it. And
well, yeah, absolutely, yeah. So it's been good. And again, just a shout out to Between the Lakes and Mike and Yvonne, because they've got some really great information around how to go about buying Spain. They take you through a process of what their experience was, and they came up with, and they also actually more recently have done a bit of a comparison between the UK, a UK Lidl and a Spanish Lidl, and they've compared the prices and things of that nature. So cost of living obviously is a topic. So they've done that really well. So I'd encourage people also to go and have a look at their channel as well, because you'll find some.
Absolutely. Tell you what, guys, send me a link to your channel. Now, I don't think you can do it in the live chat or even below the video, because YouTube will only let me publish the links. So if you can send me it as an email or something like that, YouTooSmile@gmail.com is one of the ones that I use, and I'll put the link under the video, so and to your YouTube channel as well.
Their channel's been growing as well. I think they've got to about 5,000 subscribers now.
Excellent.
So that's doing really well. So shout out to them. And funny enough, their UK. Where they stay in the UK, they've got a place up in Cleckheaton, which is in Yorkshire. So Mike's a Bradford City supporter for his sins.
Well, somebody has to be, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess. So he has his challenges, right? I don't know how they're doing actually, or performing. I think they're in League One.
I'm sure he'll tell us.
I'm sure he'll tell us, yeah. Put it in the chat, Mike.
Yeah, put it in the chat. So I tell you what, we've talked about China a lot. We should talk about Spain and the rest of the world in a minute. But what we'll do is we'll take the short break, the sort of the half-time thing that we do. And it's a reminder of all of the other sort of services available to you as a YouTooSpain follower, and a chance to hear the voices inside my head tell you all about them. Including Doogie Dog, who's still stuck behind a wall. I'll find him one day. Anyway, so we'll see you in a couple of minutes. Enjoy. Are you getting the most out of YouTooSpain? Yes, no, I don't know. Did you know that apart from these Saturday morning live shows with expert guests, or expats with really exciting stories to tell, it's not the bloody Graham Norton show. There are videos every Wednesday evening, packed with all the information you need, so we can move to Spain and enjoy living here. Without paying tax? No, Colonel, that's illegal. Naughty boy. Bah! You can find out how to navigate the bureaucracy successfully. How do I find the videos, darling? Just subscribe to the YouTube channel. And click on the bell, you useless cunt. Colonel, there's also a gorgeous YouTooSpain website full of articles, links and everything you need. YouTooSpain.com. And if you want to say thank you to YouTooSpain for all of the valuable information, or if you've been entertained, you can support Skatz with a donation. He looks like he needs a support. The poor bugger can't even stand up. If he was a horse, I'd shoot him. Colonel! The Colonel's not a very nice man. It's all right. He's just a two-dimensional stereotype. Aren't we all, sweetie? I'm not. Brexit! And how do I support YouTooSpain? Use the QR code in the corner! Or you can find it in the SuperLink in the video description below. Where? In the video description, you bloody idiot. I've warned you, Colonel. I'll send you back to the nunnery. There! It's below the video title. Down there. It says, read more. That's right. Just click or tap on that and lots more text appears. There's so much more down below. And don't forget the Facebook page and the YouTooSpain community group, darling, where you can talk to other people just like you. Oh, there's no one like me, sweetie. Thank goodness. Is that everything? There's a guest waiting to tell me things. Oh, I do like things. Where's Doogie Dog? I'm stuck behind a wall. Oh, sorry, Doogie. Follow my voice. Thank you, Master. Get back to the show. I need to go and punch some servants. Oh, Colonel. Back to Skatz in the studio. Thanks, lads. That was very informative.
I love those. I love those characters that you do, especially the Colonel. Awesome. Just
yeah, he's the most antagonistic. He's always my favourite. Yeah, I get to cross my eyes to do most of it. That's fun. I was always told as a youngster, don't cross your eyes; they'll stay that way if the wind blows. What a terrible thing to tell children. I'm talking about the. I've not got the thing up in the corner, the QR code. Where's that gone? Shall we do buy me a coffee or GoFundMe? We'll do buy me a coffee today. There it is. Yeah. The one that was on the on the message earlier, that was the GoFundMe, which was a more personal one. This one's to support the channel. I suppose it all goes in the same bank account eventually. There you go. Anyway, yes, and thanks for your support in advance if you want to do the QR code thing. But yeah, there is a SuperLink, and there you go. And Between the Lakes say thank you for the plug, Yogi and Skatz. You are very welcome. Maybe I can pop on your show as well. Maybe we can do a joint thing. That'll be a lot of fun. I have not been up to that area at all.
Probably, it's a lovely little town. Lovely little town. It's having walked the waterfront. Funny enough, where Mike and Yvonne do some of the filming on the waterfront where they've got, and it's a lovely walk. They've paved it so you can bike it or you can walk it, and then they've got the marina, and I think there's also some construction work going on for redevelopment to increase tourism and stuff like that. So it's a beautiful little town.
Brilliant. That's so good to know. So other places you've been in the world. So you're working for a different IT company now, which is taking you to other places as well. And you're telling me a few different places in America, and where else?
Yeah, so I work for a company called Extreme Networks now, which is a US-based company now. So more recently, interesting place I went to was Washington DC. So that was my first trip to Washington, which is a a very interesting city.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because Washington, as the capital, is set in the District of Columbia, which is a district which was founded to host the city.
Mm-hmm.
And my understanding of it is that one of the rules is no firearms for obvious reasons. Okay, bearing in mind what happened to Trump a few months ago, but yeah. So it's the only part of the US where firearms are banned, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of a state of its own, isn't it? It's not a
It is
proper, just a district.
correct. Yeah, because I think it's I think it's surrounded by the state. Is it Virginia? I think I can't remember now.
I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and then because obviously there's Washington DC and there's Washington State, and they're two different
Oh yeah,
coasts.
opposite ends. Yeah, it's near Ohio on the past Ohio, way past.
Yes, Seattle is in
Seattle.
Washington State, which again I've been to Seattle as well, but Washington DC was my first trip, and one of the things I did, which is I always wanted to have a go at, was shooting some firearms. So I went with a colleague to this shooting range in Washington, which is right not too far from Dulles International Airport, and we were doing some shooting, and it was just one of the most bizarre experiences I've ever come across in my life, because you don't appreciate actually the ease of getting a firearm than when you are actually doing it over there. You walk in, it's very surreal, and you've got these other people coming in to shoot their firearms in a safe area, to be fair. But it's like they'll come in with their gun bags, and they'd be going to the bench, and they're obviously opening it up, and they've got this huge, like, semi-automatic machine guns. I kid you not, they're huge, right? And they're taking them into the range. There was this one guy who must have been like 6'5", right? This handgun, and it had all the extras on it. So it was a big gun in itself, and it had this laser sight on it, which was underneath the actual nozzle. And then it had sight on top of it, and silencer at the front. I don't know why they bothered with the silencer, because even with my ear muffler, you could hear the thing going off. It was just crazy. So and you'd be shooting this thing, and obviously I was in the range area as well, and it was kind of next to me, and it was just popping up, and I was just, Jesus Christ, wow, this is just mad, and it was bang, 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 and then I had this semi-automatic MP5, again, nice large gun, and I was just shooting off rounds as I was going. It's just like bang, bang, just pushing me back with my shoulder into my shoulder as you hold the gun. It was just, but yeah, it was an experience. You have to try it if you go to the US. One of the things I'd kind of recommend.
I'm afraid that I'd like it too much.
Yeah, well, I mean,
what would it do to me?
It's a lot of fun, but it's very scary at the same time, because again, in terms of the process that you go through to gain access to these firearms, bearing in mind, obviously, I live in the UK, so it's a completely different, far more secure and regulated environment. There, it's just like you show your license. In my case, and then you fill out this form and say, right, okay, yeah, you off you go. You get shown the different type of rifles. Which one do you want to? They've got like a candy store of rifles and semi-automatic. Yeah, literally, and you would get these. So you pay for, obviously, you get an hour slot times in the range, and then you have to pay for the ammunition, and they were like 5mm rounds, or
Quite
9mm,
big.
or so on and so forth, depending on the rifle or the handgun. And then you would then have to you take that into the range area, and there's a secure there's a secure door. You go into that door, you shut the door, and then there's another door. You open that door, and it goes into the range. So there's both doors are never open at the same time, if that makes sense. So you're securely going through, and then you put your rifle on the range bench, pointing down the range, of course. So you don't want to point it into right.
No.
And then you take the magazine out, and then you'd go to another bench behind you, and you'd have to load up the magazine, right? And you do that slowly, putting the rounds in, and that takes bloody ages. Anyway, this particular magazine for the semi-automatic rifle was like for 30 rounds. I just put 10 in, and then you load it up and you just start shooting away. And I've got a little video. I'll send you it. And so, of me shooting down range at this bloody scary. Even though I had the VM on, it go bang in your ear, and it's just like, wow.
So what does that? I'm interested to know. What does that? Is there something that does to Americans' personalities that makes them different from, say, China or from the UK? From what you've seen, I don't know.
From what I've seen, I think that my experience between a Chinese guy and certainly an American ones, I find the American ones a bit more, I'll call it salesy. I suppose even in my company, I think the UK guys get a bit weather-worn with some of all the big smiles that they have, and the over enthusiasm they try to show, if I can put it like that. I think being in the UK, we're a bit more mellow. I'd put it a bit more real, a bit more understated, I'd like to think. Whereas Americans, it's all about flamboyance, and it's big, and it's massive, and come on, and rah rah, and anyway, that's the way. And comparing that to the Chinese, who try to be the same as Americans in many respects, but they're a little bit more less in terms of their overstating it, if I can put it that way. So they've got a bit of the UK personality in it, but not quite, if that makes sense. It's strange. It's very difficult to kind of measure the two in many respects, and their styles. I think there's all certainly in the corporate world, there's all different types of, I'll call it kind of propaganda. Having to believe in certain areas, and some of it is obviously true, but you have to kind of work out. Whereas I think there's more propaganda in the Chinese way of doing it, slightly less in the American way of doing it, but it's more flamboyant, if I can put it that. And a lot more rah-rah.
Yeah, that's a fair description, I think.
It's a difficult question to answer.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, you're also a big walker. You're a hiker as well. So do you?
Absolutely,
You've got the two different, completely different styles of living. Which do you prefer? Are you feel better in nature, or when you're in the middle of a massive room with lots of electronics and sales things going on, or a big city?
So I think being in the technology world makes you appreciate nature a lot better. So one of my more recent trips has been to Madeira in Portugal, and it's a beautiful island. It's just actually north of Tenerife, on the African coast. It's kind of adjacent to Morocco, and it's a very tempered climate. all year round because of its where it's situated.
Mm-hmm.
But the natural beauty is phenomenal. So me and my son went out there in July, and we got to do some hiking, and the scenery and the hike's quite challenging in itself because you're going up and down mountains, and you were climbing in very challenging areas. I mean, there's one area called the Rio Aéreo, which is a mountain. I think it's the third tallest mountain. They're actually at the top of it. They've got a radar dome, which they use for obviously aircraft, and I can't remember if it's a military one or a commercial one.
Mm-hmm.
But from there you can hike to the tallest mountain. Now, we didn't quite go that far because that's like 10 kilometers, something like that. But we went about halfway and then came back. But there was one point where it was really scary because you've got this walkway, and this particular part of the mountain, because it was created through a volcanic eruption, so it was came out from underneath the sea, pushed up, if you like, and created this island millions of years ago. And they're very narrow, very sharp type ridges, and on the top of the ridge they've created this pathway going across the plateau, and at one point all you've got is this walkway with two pieces of rope, one on this side, one on this side, and you're looking left and right, and you're thinking it's about 6,000 feet drop.
Whoa!
So it's crazy, but scary at the same time. But really enjoyed it. We just walked across that piece, and so that was one hike, and then we did do a hike from another part of the island to the tallest building. The tallest mountain, which was nice. I put that on my Facebook. You might have seen it, Skatz, because I did. It was like a it was a sharp a sped up motion video that I did from the top back down to the car park. So I mean, round trip it was about a couple of hours in terms of hike, but I pushed it down to 3 minutes, I think 3-4 minutes. So I uploaded it on Facebook. So so that was another one. And then they've got one that's called the Dragon's Tail. So at one end of the island, you go through some spectacular scenery where they've got sheer cliff faces, and obviously you've got the water coming in. There's not many, if any, beaches on this island, by the way, because it's all volcanic. And this particular part of the island is shaped like a dragon's tail, goes all the way out, and it was about a round trip of about, me and my son did it's like 17, 18 kilometers, something like that, round trip, and it's going up and down, to this tallest point at the edge or at the end, and they've got this little coffee shop near the end where you go, and I remember we had a sandwich, hot sandwich, and a cup of cocoa, and then we went up to the finals bit, which was this very steep climb up to the top, and the spectacular views, and come back again.
Beautiful.
It's just really nice. So thoroughly enjoyed that. You get a good workout, that's for sure.
I must give those a try. We've got quite a few in the south of Spain as well.
Yes. That's so. When I come to Spain, I tend to go. I go with a guy called Stephen Deere. By the way, Stephen Deere owns a tech shop. It's called the Tech Shop in Campsall. Really great. If you ever have any mobile phone or laptop issues and you're in the area, he's the place to go.
There you go. Very nice plug.
Because he sorted out my phone when I was there, actually, and great service, brilliant. So
talking of Campsall, Sean's on the line. There we go.
There's Sean.
Hello's on the live chat. And he says, oh, got the wrong one there. He says, Yogi, you bought a fighter jet.
Yeah, that's my ride to your place, mate. Make sure you've got a long enough runway at your house, mate, when I come and arrive.
Yes, the new Campusol A runway.
Yeah, this is the new Campusol Express coming to you from the UK. But yes, I go biking with him. So Stephen's taken me on a number of trips, and he's got a couple of e-bikes. And we tend to go for a ride, 40, 50 kilometers. We've done like the coast of Matharon. We've gone across various mountains. We've gone into the big country areas of Murcia and stuff like that. It's absolutely phenomenal. So I love doing that stuff. So I'll probably do another bike ride with him when I go again in October. So that's definitely something I enjoy doing as well. So
you definitely need the e-bike to go.
Yeah. I mean, keeping fit is something I like to do, as you know, because obviously when I'm watching your channel on a Saturday morning, I'm usually in the gym. So
Sean says you just opened the new runway. Did you cut the ribbon, Sean? Was that it?
Yeah. Just tell Sean, Sean, it's not the drones, yeah. So it's going to need to be a bit bigger than your drones. Yeah.
Sean's the drone expert.
He's the drone expert. Yeah, he's got a drone channel as well. And again, shout out to Expat of Mazaron. He's got a channel of his own, and it's great information. He does a number of like trips to various spots in Spain, abandoned villages and cathedrals and stuff like that, and even golf clubs. So check it out. It's a great channel for information and places to visit in Spain.
And it's about time we had you on the show again, Sean. So we'll be in touch about that.
Yeah.
And, we've got Jed Tierney. Good morning, Jed. He's saying, morning, chaps. Mike and Yvonne's spreadsheet of all their Spanish home costs makes great viewing. I don't think you'd be able to get a place like theirs for 68,000 euros now. Yeah, you can't get many places like that. There's a village that we can see from Computer just over the way where you can get a townhouse, a 2 or even a 3-bedroom townhouse for 68,000. But there's nothing in the village. There's no shops, and there's the road is like this to get into civilization again once you've been there. So if you want real peace and quiet in a townhouse, then that's the place to go. If you want a house that price, but you're paying more like I don't know, 250 for a place in the Campo, at least.
Yeah.
There we go. So let's move on to Spain. And we've been talking for an hour.
Yes.
We've hardly talked about Spain at all. But
yeah.
What are your favourite places that you've been to?
So my favourite city in Spain is Valencia. It's fantastic little town or city in Spain. Why do I like it? I like it because it's got a bit of everything. You've got the beach area, which is huge. It's very, very long. And then you've got a whole range of activities in there. They've got a lovely square in the middle of town. You've got a beautiful cathedral. If you like the culture, they've got a number of museums. They've got the cathedral itself. I think hosts allegedly the Cup of Christ. So shout out to that. And then it's so easy to get around the city, and all you need is a bike. You can hire a bike relatively cost effective. I think it's 10 euros for the day, something like that on average. And then you can take the bike everywhere, literally, because the city is designed with cyclists in mind. So they've got several cycle pathways throughout the whole city, all the way to the beach area as well. And then you can go literally, and I did this last time back in June. I biked all the way up the beach area to literally the next town. and then back into Valencia again. So yeah, that's one of my favourite places to go.
It's got an old
Really
town
enjoy.
and then some really modern bits. Because if you put Valencia into Google, you tend to get a picture of the Technology Museum, which looks fantastic. It's this lovely shaped
Yes,
modern building with lots of
that's
glass.
right. Yes. So just a point of note. So they used to have a river back in the 50s that went through the centre of town, and what they did, they rerouted it
Hmm.
another way because it was causing flooding and I think structural issues. So what they did was they dammed that up, and they created, basically they converted the Rambla into a park area. Yeah,
Hmm.
and then part of that park area towards the end, going towards the beach area, on the right hand side as you look towards the coast, is
Hmm.
a, like you say, the tech area. They've got a museum, which is the Science Museum, which they've got there, or a Natural History Museum. They've got I think, an aquarium there as well,
Hmm.
and a theatre for music in that area as well. Really beautiful, really nice. Again, you can bike all the way through it. Me and my friends that went there back in June had a great time out there. Like I say, it's a beautiful city. It's easy to get around. They do have their own tram system and metro system as well,
Hmm.
so very cost effective to get around. Taxis are relatively cheap as well if you're that way
Mm.
inclined as well.
It is renowned
Um,
for being quite a cheap place to live compared to a lot
yeah,
of other
compared
cities.
to yeah compared to others. I mean, certainly compared to Barcelona or Madrid,
Mm.
even Seville, and certainly Malaga. It's certainly a lot more cost effective, if you
Hmm.
like, from a living space perspective.
Mm.
And you've got everything there in terms of shopping. If you want to shop out there, they've got a shopping centre as well. But at the same time, it's not too far away from the natural beauties. You've got the mountains in the background, which I believe probably 10, 20 minutes drive from outside the city.
Hmm.
You're out in the country. I know a lot of locals tend to migrate out during the weekends, or to the beach area. They've got loads of festivals during the year. I mean, Spain's obviously well known for its festivals, right?
Yeah.
So every town tends to have one. But there was one in particular I remember back in 2017, 2018, during the last year, one of the Euros, and we went out there, and there just happened to be a festival on the beach. And this, because we were in town. I remember we were in town. It was empty. It was just like, and we went into this bar. We said, "Well, where is everyone?" He said, "Well, they're down at the beach." I said, "What are they doing down there?" So there's a festival. There's obviously one's particular saint, which in June they celebrate. So everybody had shot down to the beach area, and when we went down there, it was just rammed. It was,
Mm.
had all this loud music going off, and everybody was partying on the beach area, and the beach, which is a couple of miles long, just thousands of people, you know, having
Mm.
a having a having a good time and a laugh. It was just it was amazing. One of the very interesting, one of the most interesting experiences. So
Mm.
yeah, that's Valencia is definitely one of my favourite cities, and they've got no end of bars and restaurants and areas
Mm.
to eat. Known for its seafood, and paella obviously comes
Paella,
from
yeah,
Valencia as well. So
does. Mm.
um, that's definitely something to try out while you're out there.
Hmm.
Um, and
Do they actually put? They don't put chicken in their paella, do they? It's the
there is a
seafood
chicken
thing.
paella.
Is there
There is
one?
a chicken paella. There is one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought because I always thought, yeah, that's not traditional at all. It's fish, isn't it?
Yeah, normally it's fish, but I'm not a big fish fan. But I'll have
Yeah.
the chicken any time. But they do kind of leave the bones in the chicken as well, so it's very
Oh.
you've got to be mindful of that piece. Anyway, there's a particular restaurant there called Destino 56, which is kind of like a sports bar restaurant, and they do very nice paellas, but I think the ones in town are probably the best. And it's very the old parts, because they've got two parts of Valencia. There's got the old town and you've got the new town. And the old town is, you walk down the lovely little streets and cobbled streets and stuff like that, and you've got these lovely quaint little bars, restaurants, shops, things of that nature. It's a beautiful, very how do I put it, cultural, and the atmosphere it's lovely. Very safe as well, very safe city. There's hardly any crime.
Oh, this sounds lovely. Must visit up there. And when you, like you're saying, with all the festivals, that's very much Spain, isn't it?
It is.
All the people getting out and celebrating, and all together, and it's family orientated as well.
Yes, yeah, and the architecture as well. And they've got like these gates, because look like castles, which or mini castles, which they've got in the centre of town as well. I'm sure there's a whole range of history I couldn't tell you about, but they go back hundreds of years, as well as the main cathedral goes back hundreds of years as well. So there's a lot of history, a lot of culture, like I say, a lot of museums there that I haven't had a chance to visit yet, but I'm sure are very eloquent. And even in the main square, they've got like the council buildings, and they're quite old as well. They go back several hundred years apparently as well. So they're really nice place, lovely city to visit.
It's one of the things I noticed about moving from Ireland was that the island is very historic. Tons of history, but not in terms of the buildings, unless you go to the middle of Dublin, where they have got old buildings. But a lot of the older style buildings in Ireland are all farm buildings, and they've all kind of fallen to ruin. And then in the big explosion of new building that happened at the start of this millennium, it's all modern buildings, and it became, the country is covered in these fantastic places which are B&Bs, and they kind of got some old style to them, but they're very much modern. They've got a concrete base, kind of breeze block base that they put all of the cladding on the outside to make them look a bit older. But so there wasn't that history there, and there wasn't the architecture there, because it's an oral history in Ireland. But coming to Spain, they've got the oral history and they've got the buildings as well. So what were you going to say?
I was just going to say that interestingly enough, Sean took me to a place in the Sierra Spooner. There's a little town, actually, when we were going up one of my first visits with Sean, and we went up this mountain, and as we were going up there's this little town, and it's got this little kind of like a mini castle. I forget the name of the town, but it's literally built on a cliff face. The views are spectacular, absolutely spectacular. But this particular little mini castle, I'll call it, which was like a watchtower. Essentially, it's like a watchtower, but it goes back hundreds of years, literally towards it's as old as going back to the Crusades. I can't remember the name of the town. I want to say it's something like Luna or something. Maybe Sean can put it in the chat if he gets a chance. Aledo. There you go. That's it. Yeah. And we went out there, and there was one spot where we parked, and we saw the town from the side. And he's got this picture of it, and it's amazing how it's been constructed. It literally it's like a cliff that's sticking out, and you've got the town built on it, or village even. And right at the end, you've got the watchtower, and from the watchtower, you've got this spectacular view looking back towards Matheron. And the rest of Murcia, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. And it's such a quiet little town. I remember us having a sandwich there before going up the rest of the mountain to the top of the Espuna. So you find all these little places in Spain. So which I love Spain. I love coming to Spain. It's just got so much culture, so much. Obviously the weather's great, lovely people, and
food's great too.
food's great, but the scenery is just
Mm.
it's just stunning, absolutely stunning. Love it.
Talking about the food,
Smart.
I read the other day that for the first time ever, the best burger in the world has gone to somewhere other than the United States, and
Oh,
it's
is it?
in Valencia is the company,
Oh, really?
and
Wow.
they have a place in Madrid as well, but they're based in Valencia, and it's the burgers. I mean, you get the two big burgers that are made from Galician beef steak. So
Oh, wow.
there's no wonder it tastes absolutely wonderful. But
Oh,
yeah,
wow. Okay.
I've got to go and taste one of those.
You
They
got to try
looked
to taste
looked
one of those,
amazing.
right? So give that a
Yeah.
go. Fantastic.
So I know that's not traditional Spanish food, but you can get, but it's usually on the menu, isn't it?
Yeah,
As a
definitely.
choice. But yeah,
Yeah.
good stuff. There's well, we've been going for like an hour and 15 minutes, and we could talk for hours. I wonder if
Yeah,
anybody
yeah,
else has
yeah.
got
I'm.
any
Uh,
other questions. We'll go on for a
yeah.
little bit.
I suppose some of the other places I've visited as well. Obviously India's obviously my whole place as well, is where
Oh yeah.
my parents were from. So yeah, it's a few stories around that too. But more recently, Cyprus, Greece,
Mm.
Italy. Again, uh, very one of my favourite spots again was Pompeii.
Uh-huh.
Visiting Pompeii, that was just amazing. That was again, if you're into obviously the history and archaeology and stuff like that,
Mm.
it's a Roman town frozen in time because obviously of the volcanic eruption that happened over 1,000 years ago. And from it, one of the most and it's kind of seared into my brain. One of the most iconic viewpoints that I saw was from within the square of Pompeii. Looking back, we're surrounded obviously by the big Roman pillars and buildings and stuff like that. And there's this one street which looks back at the Mount Vesuvius, which
Vesuvius.
is
Yeah. The
the
volcano.
volcano,
Yeah.
and you can see the volcano, and it's huge. The crater at the top. It's like a mountain, but it's been sliced in half. Because you've got
Mm.
the curve of where the caldera is. And that was iconic. That was still one of my favourite places, and obviously
Mm.
with the archaeological significance of it, and being able to visit some of the houses which still have even today some of the bodies of because it's kind of imprinted in the lava as they were
Yeah.
uh, the flow of lava came swept through the
Yeah.
town, and just basically left this trail of destruction, but at the same time preserved so many of these artifacts and bodies and stuff like that, which are still, you can see even today, it's quite eerie, but it's quite a big town for the
Yeah.
era actually. So, I think they called it a city, Pompeii
Mm.
city, but obviously not far from Naples.
Well,
Uh,
Barry's asking, did you see the terracotta warriors in China? His father-in-law went some years ago. Said it's the most
I
amazing thing
did.
he's ever seen.
I did. Yes, it's quite a. That is quite it actually took some customers there. I didn't get to spend as much time as I liked in that place. We're kind of rushed, but we
Mm.
did get to see all the warriors as they were, as part of that tomb that we went into,
Yeah.
which was very interesting. Yeah, I did get to go. Did get some time to go to the other place I went to in China was Beijing as well. So obviously
Mm.
the square there, very famous Tiananmen Square. It's amazing actually. This is something to point out in China is the amount of security there is in Beijing is very. Certainly when I was there was kind of scary because
Yeah.
we actually had and we were told this by our colleagues, Chinese colleagues, that there would be intelligence security monitoring us as we took the trip around Beijing. So he said, stay
Uh-huh.
with the group, do not venture away from the group,
Uh-huh.
otherwise you'd be picked up. So yeah, certainly
Wow.
followed that advice.
Yeah, and that's just in Beijing. It's not the rest of China.
Yeah, but actually the rest of China never had that issue. Never had that issue. When we went to Shanghai, Shenzhen, no issues at all from that perspective. It was only in Beijing. I guess that's because obviously it's the capital. It's the you had the the main political centres and the political parties were based there, right? So I think that's probably the reasoning. I guess. Yeah. I mean, that said, when you go to Washington, there's in the same vein, there's a huge amount of security. It took me coming from the UK, and bearing in mind we're an ally of the US, it took me 2.5 hours to get through immigration to get into Washington. And there's a huge amount of security. Actually, the hotel which I was staying at was something called it was a hotel and convention center called the Gaylord. Look it up, you can see it in Google. It's very flamboyant, very big, as the Americans will do. Hotel, very nice, 5-star, lovely places where we were hosting our kickoff event in Washington from a work perspective. And there was a huge amount of security because there was another event at the same time as ours, which is another part of the convention center, supporting the I don't want to be controversial here, but it was supporting the Israeli position. It was the Zion something or other, and they had the Israeli flag on it and stuff like that. Anyway, needless to say, there was a huge amount of security. We had police cars all over the place with their lights continually on to show their presence in the town. So that was a very interesting experience, I have to say.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah. Good. Well, I tell you what, we've talked so much, and I could talk for hours more, but I think we should start to wind it down. If anyone else has any more questions for Yogi just before we go, then ask away now. And while we're waiting for any of those answers to the questions rather to come through, because it does take about 20 seconds. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Click on the like button as well if you've liked what you've heard, and make sure that, because that helps the channel, and the channel helps you. So you're helping yourself there. So anything else you want to ask? I put up a message from Jed earlier, which I didn't comment on, but for winter sun we go to Nerja, which is just down on the coast by us, which are very nice. And in fact, the Indian restaurant that's coming to Computer is based in Nerja. So I'm very happy about that, because that's my favourite one. Nice town in a short distance from the lovely Friciliana, which is like a smaller version of Computer, and even more pretty perhaps as well. Lots of the white buildings with the little blue terracotta pots with the flowers in, just absolutely covered in that. And Seville,
interestingly enough, I've not been to Seville or Madrid at the moment, and I also hear the northern part of Spain is a place to go as well, especially in the summer. It's supposed to be quite beautiful and is known as the greener part of Spain. So those are areas of Spain I'd like to explore in one day, sometime.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to go back there, because there's the route to Santiago as well there. Which is very popular. And we did. I went camping there for a week. A place called Llanes, which is right in the middle of the coast at the top.
I've got a question to ask the audience, really. From a Spain perspective, obviously I'm coming in next month down to Spain. So is there any particular areas on the southeast coast where I should be visiting? To put it in the chat. I'd like to go. Stick it in
the comments below, because the chat will disappear off the thing. So
true.
Yeah. Put in the comments. And no comments coming in on the chat there. So yeah, do that. If you're watching the program back afterwards as well, by the way, I didn't even say hello to you at the start, but because there's usually hundreds and hundreds more watch the program later on today or on Sunday or in the coming months as well. So, and I hope you do continue to watch. It's been a fantastic chat. I've really enjoyed it, and it's been a pleasure having you on the show, mate.
Oh, pleasure coming along, and thank you for inviting me. Really great. Love the show, Skatz. Been
thank you.
Phenomenal, and helped me on my journey certainly. So hopefully look forward to seeing you next month and in the flesh. I look forward to your continued recovery and crack off, Freddie.
Yay! Yes, absolutely. So everybody else, give Yogi a big virtual kiss and a hug, and say bye for now. It's been an absolute pleasure, and we'll see you again on the live chat and in the comments and on the Facebook pages soon in the future, I'm sure.
Fantastic. Thanks, Skatz. Really appreciate it.
You take care. Bye for now.
See you, everyone.
Well, wasn't that lovely? And who do I have on the show next week? Well, none other than, of course, it's Chris from Upsticks with our regular fortnightly format where we answer all of your questions and have a special feature about the most important issue of the week. And of course, we'll be debating and arguing about something important or hilarious or both. You can ask questions in advance on the Facebook page and you will be answered. Thanks to all of you for joining us and leaving comments and hitting the like button and supporting us with donations and memberships. It's very much appreciated. And I'll see you either on the midweek video or live on Saturday mornings at our regular time of 9 o'clock in the morning if you're in the UK or Ireland or Portugal or the Canaries, or 10 o'clock in the morning if you're in Spain or Central Europe. That is all for this week. And somebody pass around the Yogi cookies. Peace and love to everybody. Peas and fluff. And here is one final message from all of the voices in my head here at YouTooSpain. Here we are. Take it away, lads. Bye. Goodbye. Toodaloo. Peace and love. Peas and fluff. Oi, oi. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. One more cosmic dance? All right then. Look, Mum, I'm dancing. Oh, I'm all a quiver. Let's dance.